Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Hines for Encounters USA. We are your one-stop podcast and YouTube channel for all things alien, Bigfoot, and Dogman. So relax, kick up your feet, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Encounters USA. Today we have Bigfoot and UFO researchers Lee Strauss and Craig Yahne. Right now, Lee is standing by, and we are waiting for Craig to join the meeting. Now, before we continue, I would like to give you a few updates on Encounters USA. The first is that we finally have our 2021 line of signature merchandise. It's available on, I believe we're on Amazon Merch, Redbubble, Teespring, and we are also on TeePublic. Now, if you want to get this stuff off of our websites, you're going to see the links take you to TeePublic because the comparison shows that the best quality, I believe, and you can see it just by looking at this T-shirt, really the best, I believe, comes from TeePublic. But you be the judge of that. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is our upcoming episodes. Next week, we're going to have Amy Boo and we're going to have William Bisson talking about the Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival. So that's going to be a really nice introduction to Medellin Falls, which is a beautiful area of Washington State and a really predominant area for Bigfoot. The next show we're going to be talking about coming up is we're going to be interviewing the people associated with the Laurie Simmons Bigfoot tree. Now, it's got a lot of different names, but we're going to bring people back together again because there have been some updates. We've talked to Michael Wallace, and he'd like to give some updates on his father's research. So that's coming up. The next and the last thing that I would like to talk about as far as upcoming episodes go are we interviewed when Encounters USA first started, when we interviewed Rich Germeau out at Harstine Island and Lake Cushman. Now, amazingly, the person who owned that property at Lake Cushman has contacted me and wants to do an interview. So we're still working out the specifics and the logistics of that, but we are getting ready for hopefully an interview fairly soon. So that will be also incorporating UFOs and Bigfoot at Lake Cushman. So it's going to be fascinating. So let me just check here very quickly and see where my guests are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Encounters USA. I have Craig Yahne and I have Lee Strauss standing by. Now, before we get started, I want to have these guys introduce themselves just a little bit because they could probably do a better job than I could. So, Craig, this is your first time on Encounters USA. So let's start with you. Let's talk a little bit about your background, like professionally, whatever you'd like to mention, and then what's your interest in the paranormal, and finally, what projects are you working on, and what is your association with Lee?
Well, there's a lot to chew off right off the bat. Well, I'm a professional freelance cameraman and I coach as well. I graduated in college with a video degree in communications. And so I work with the Seahawks when COVID isn't blocking everything. I got to work this year quite a bit. We were tested every time we worked out on the field. I was doing Silvertip hockey games before, some women's range soccer, the Storm basketball. So whatever, any type of, sporting events with cameras that I was involved in. I did 40 MMA shows up in Snoqualmie when they had Rumble on the Ridge, some music events, UW TV department and the UW. They had a lot of different shows. I'm sure a lot of people watched some of their shows. And then I was on UFO meetup group, and I met Carol Williams, and she introduced me to the UFO group, and we came up with an idea called the UFO iTeam, and that's how me and Lee met. And it was going really well for a while until some things happened. I don't really want to divulge into that too much, but maybe sometime in the future. And so we kind of stayed friends, and he reached out to me about doing some projects coming up. And I said I'd take him out to my area where I've been working in Sasquatch Valley. And he's got some areas he does up in the North Cascades I'd be interested in checking out as well. Also want to go back to an area up by Mount Baker where we actually had a vocalization during a night scene. We were shooting the star systems up above in the constellations. Lee brought all his gear with Anders, and we went out to the spot. And I was joking around with these guys, said, I'm going to go down in the corner. And I took my dog, and we went down in the corner, and I screamed really loud. We didn't hear anything. I came back, and then about 10 minutes later, we got a big giant vocalization. So it was pretty cool.
Wow, Craig, that you are fascinating. This is, like I said, this is the first time I've talked to you, and we could just sit here and talk about your stuff with the Seahawks. Your videography, that really interests me. I saw on Facebook that you do drones, and so you look like the kind of guy I need on my Encounters USA team, because I just don't have the I like to do the research and stuff, and that's why I kind of glum onto Lee and glummed onto the UFO iTeam, is because they have all the technical stuff. But you definitely, I see it going on. So you're a coach for the Seahawks, or you just do the camera stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm the video tech guy, and I do camera work. That's my job. I do a lot of, I can do a lot of different things on a production set or a film set. I have filled many boots in that area. I know how to do audio, lighting, camera work, producing, directing. So I'm pretty well versed. I just haven't made a ton of money yet. That's one downfall yet. I'm still working on that.
Yeah. So when we see a Seahawk game, that's Craig Yahne.
Well, I wouldn't say it's just me. I can't take that big claim to fame.
You're part of that team.
I'm one small person amongst a whole bunch of people. And I'm telling you, the team that works with Fox is the number one A team. And I'm not kidding about that. When they come to Seattle, the production crews bring these big 18-wheelers in. All the camera gear gets set up and put out. Those guys are all well-versed and well-seasoned veterans who are extremely dedicated to their work, and they are total professionals. And they are teaching me a ton of experience, and I really enjoy it. It's an honor to work with them, and I just love it.
Great. Fantastic. All right. Now, before I bring Lee out here, there's a couple things that you mentioned. We do have some ground rules on the show. First one, I'm hearing of that school that we don't mention on here, and it's the one in Seattle, the university here, because we're Cougars on Encounters USA. So were you associated with that school? Is that your background?
You mean where I got my degree?
Yeah.
That's at Shoreline Community College.
Okay. So it's not the U word, right?
You mean the UW? I worked at the UW. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't mention that. We can say the university or that school or something, but generally being Cougars on this podcast.
Sorry about that.
And I think actually Bigfoot, I've heard he's taking classes at Wazoo, so not sure if that makes him technically a Cougar, but that's one of the ground rules that we have here. And then the other one, Craig, is I sent Lee our kind of agenda for the day. And something happened at the UFO iTeam. I kind of, got it. And so I'm not sure if this is taboo or not. So right now, let's just jump over to Lee, and let's follow up on this question. Lee, welcome to Encounters USA. Thanks for having the courage to come back.
No problem. No problem. I don't mind a little hazing every once in a while. In fact, I think I was due. So here we are.
Here we are. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but Lee and I have not seen each other. I believe it's been exactly 1 year since the Paranormal Award Summit in Ocean Shores. No, it's the Paranormal Academy Awards in Ocean Shores. And that was part of I guess, the last hurrah for the iTeam. And so, Lee, that's the last time I saw you. So a lot's happened since then. The world shut down, and we're not going to really talk politics here, but that's kind of the background of the setting for you and I talking. So, Lee, is there anything you can? I'm curious, and I'm sure a lot of people are, because I do a lot of name dropping of the iTeam, because you guys are my connection to all this technology and looking for UFOs. So, Can you kind of tell me, is there an iTeam anymore?
I think there is embers of the iTeam. Myself and Ander have stepped away from that whole thing and have gone out on our own and started our own stuff and doing our own thing. Without, there was a lot of, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. And I don't like to be put into a box. So that's why I decided to step away.
Okay. And was you shouldn't be looking, and I'll just say it, you shouldn't be looking for Bigfoot because we're the iTeam, we're the UFO iTeam?
No, it was nothing like that. No, it's just, I'm pretty much familiar and happy to talk with anybody about this stuff. And when people say that I shouldn't be associating myself with this person or that person, you know what? Everybody's got information in one form or another that, I'd like to hear and talk with those people and find out what they know. I mean, there's always nuggets of truth and so forth and what people are saying. And, it's for me to decide what those nuggets are, not for other people to tell me that I shouldn't be associating with certain people.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or certain podcasts.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. See, because anyway, I don't want to go too far into it, but I just got a very, kind of strange message and basically said that, you're persona non grata with the iTeam anymore. And I was like, wow, that's really weird. And for me, I thought it was political. I thought that, based on my political activities, that's what it went. But I don't know. And it's really sad to see that, because the UFO iTeam is a great concept. So the last question I'm going to ask you is there a UFO iTeam anymore?
Like I said, I think there's embers of the UFO iTeam. The idea is still there. And, some of the individuals I would work with, I just wouldn't work under the moniker of the UFO iTeam anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a great little lead in. So what is the moniker? And I know the answer, but what is the moniker under which you're operating now?
Well, it's Ander and Lee on the trail. And basically what we do is we go out and we search for Bigfoot, UFOs, anything paranormal. Interested in learning more about the dogmen stuff, which a lot about, and obviously would like to pick your brain about that at some point in time. But yeah, we've had our experiences mostly with UFOs, but we have had some experiences with Bigfoot as well out in the field, and definitely would like to learn more about that.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about I saw something on Facebook a while ago, and I've been just wanting to talk to you about this, but you mentioned that you and Ander came across some kind of a portal. And before we talk about that, how did you and Craig, I mean, are you guys are working together now? Is he coming out with you and Ander?
No, not as of yet. Me and Craig were just talking about doing some stuff together. We've been talking about this for probably 3 years, actually, a little bit off and on, about trying different things like using a tensile and getting up high up into the trees above the ground to see what you can film from high up. I mean, just a lot of different things we've been talking about here and there. And this year, I think we've actually decided that we're going to get together and do some stuff together. So, yeah.
Are you still working with Dave?
Dave Mason? No, I'm not. I'm not currently working with Dave Mason.
That's too bad. Too bad. All right. Well, let's bring Craig back in. Craig, we've got a show coming up about the Medellin Bigfoot Festival. You've been out to that. I think I saw something on Facebook about you out in Medellin. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm going to be showing my teaser trailer. I'm working on a documentary film and in Sasquatch Valley. And so I've been working on my teaser. I've been editing and capturing B-roll footage, and putting together music and a little bit of a storyboard. When I say storyboard, it's more or less of me just like video vlogging and talking and about the different areas of scientific research and investigative research that I'm doing. I'm doing a comparative study, a descriptive study, and an experimental one with my drone and my game cams. And so I'm just putting probably like a 60-minute or longer, possibly, documentary film about it.
And all that's set by Medellin?
I got invited over there by a guy named Stephen Majors. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, he's from that expedition company, I think.
Yeah, I think he's in Spokane. I don't know him too much, but he has reached out to me a couple of times. Him and Thomas Seawood. Thomas Seawood keeps hitting me up for doing some stuff. We were contacted by, I won't say who, but we were contacted by an LA-based TV production company to do some kind of work. But COVID hit and put a kibosh on that. And so we're just kind of like doing our own thing. I'm just going out as much as possible. During COVID, I did a few things. I upgraded my coaching, my coach on the side for money. So to make some, to stay alive and keep my bills paid and whatnot. So when I'm not doing the camera work, I coach a lot. So I upgraded to a professional coach level. I coach tennis to kids and adults, and do a junior high development program to get kids, performing really well, who already know how to play, but get them ready for tournaments and high school tennis. And if they pursue college tennis after that, I help them with that. So that takes up quite a bit of time. But when I'm not doing that, I actually go out. I've been going out quite a bit. I probably hit Sasquatch Valley, I would say 30 times this year already. Wow. And so it's quite a bit.
So Craig, is Sasquatch Valley, is that associated with Medellin, or is that somewhere in between?
It's in the North Cascades. I'm not going to divulge the area.
Okay.
And if I take people in there, I ask them to keep it, private as well. Yeah. I'll be, taking Lee up there, and we're going to go around and check a couple of spots. Right now, I just went up there and there was snow. I have a 4-wheel drive truck, but it's not super high off the ground. And I don't know, Lee might have a little bit higher vehicle, but we'll probably drive out there. And I have a backup plan. My A plan is to get to where I was going to take him to, where we want to camp and set up our base. And then we're going to go to the different areas. I want to show him around a little bit. And then if we can get back in there, I don't know. My truck's fairly high. It's, I think the snow level was probably like 20 inches. And I got in there, turned on the 4-wheel drive, drove up the road. It's off a dirt road. It goes off from a concrete road into a dirt road. And then we got back in there. As you're driving back in, you're getting snow, and the snow started piling up underneath and pushing on the transfer case. So I didn't pursue it any farther. I could have got easily stuck out there. So I just backed up and flipped it around, did a start turn in the snow, and I was glad I got out of there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done a few of those, and I started doing 4-wheel driving in Alaska, and I do not like getting stuck on those roads in Washington.
Yeah,
because there's always a mountain on the other side that
That's
you, I don't know about that area, but
Oh, it
anyway,
is.
well, that's fascinating. So let's talk about, when do you plan on doing this, and is there any way you'll stay in touch with Encounters USA so we can
Oh yeah,
post it
for
on your
sure.
progress?
Well, I'm that way. I like making bridges and keeping the connections. I'm definitely working on that. I've made this new mantra in my life to be I'm a very spiritual, peace loving type person, like the old 60, 70 hippies type guy now. Before I was, pretty type A personality, and I've learned my lessons in life on that. And it's just better to be more peaceful, loving, and spiritual, and do as much as you possibly can for your fellow friends. And we're all in this world together, so we might as well as work together as a team. I'm a big fan of that. Like Lee was saying, we can all do something, and we all have these beautiful nuggets of knowledge and wisdom. And if we combine them all together, we can have something that's going to be really wonderful. And in the Sasquatch field, you really need a team of people. You cannot do all this by yourself. There is no possible way I could get out there and carry all that gear and set it up. And then I want to eventually spend, in a hotspot area, I want to spend 2 weeks. I want to get some funding up and spend 2 weeks. And I'm going to get this tent that you set up above the canopy, up above the ground. I'm going to go up about 20 feet up in a tree and have another person with me. And we'll be sitting up high in these trees, in these tents that you strap from one tree to another tree, kind of like a triangle. And then we'll be there in a base camp. And then we'll, set that area up full of game cams and do some audio vocalizations and try to draw in the Sasquatch. Hopefully that'll work. I think that's a really good factor because Sasquatch are so curious, they want to come in, but if you're down on the ground and they see you, they'll observe you from a distance. But if you're up in a canopy in a tree, they're going to have to get in closer and see what that is, because they've never experienced that before. So it's a kind of a great idea. I kind of got that idea from like some Jane Goodall stuff, but she never really did that. But they did that. They were in harnesses and they had climbed up in trees, and they were up probably like 200 feet up in a tree with long lens cameras, and they were shooting gorillas and chimpanzees from a distance. And it's a great idea. It's something that could probably work with Sasquatch.
All right. So that's where the tree seat comes in that you sent to me? Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think that's going to work better on the front of Lee's truck, but I'm not going to go in a seat and be stuck in a tree where I have no place to go, and Bigfoot all he has to do is climb up there and grab me. And I need to go back and talk to Lee about his portals or portal. But before we do, Craig, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a primate, or are you looking for something of the quantum realm? What are you looking for?
Wow, boy, that's a good question. People ask me this all the time. So I've done 5 years of conferences with all different kinds of speakers. I'm one of the hosts for Watch Fest down in Kelso on Friday. I do the hosting on that day, and we invite people in and we talk. And I've met, ever since started this whole venture, I've met so many people, hunters, fishers, fishing guides, hunting guides. Sheriffs from Snohomish County came up and talked to me about his Sasquatch encounter. He had 2 of them before he retired. And, I'm open to quantum physics and parallel universes. I've been studying that this year really heavily. I'm open to all that stuff. I just haven't really seen a lot of that, but I have seen a lot of footprints, casting. I've talked to Jeff Meldrum every single year about Sasquatch and what he thinks of it. I've read Melvin Ketchum's eDNA study. There's some new stuff coming out from Bigfoot expeditions. They've gotten eDNA just recently, supposedly too.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that Sasquatch is a bipedal hominid. For now, I'm totally open to changing this. Is that it is a type of species that possibly has some type of sixth sense or seventh sense. And they use infrasound, and they might be able to do some other amazing things too. I've watched Skinwalker Ranch. I'm sure you're probably familiar with that. I know Lee probably is too. So I'm open to all those different, parallel quantum physics type study. So I guess I would have to say, yeah, I'm open to that. And I think Sasquatch is a living omnivore that is capable of going into underground cave systems, possibly to hide, and maybe accessing portal doors. I just don't know enough about that right now, and I haven't seen enough evidence, but I have studied it. And I'm very interested in Bigelow's research, and I've actually contacted him, sent an email because of my area. I'll talk more about that maybe later if you're interested, but had some weird things, and I got actually photos on my game cam, and I can share that. I can just tell you that right now I've got orbs, and I've got a couple other pictures that I don't know what they are, and they're pretty bizarre. So I'm just going to leave that for now, and
okay.
we'll move.
Well, because Craig, you've touched on one thing that we're doing here at Encounters USA, and we're just trying to get the collective knowledge in one spot, and that's what you're doing. And so what you're hunting determines how you hunt it. And so if you're hunting for a hominid, that's going to determine that you're going to go to putting something in a tree, whereas somebody who's hunting for quantum Bigfoot, might be doing a metaphysical thing or something like that. So, okay. So that's going to pretty much determine your methods. All right. So Lee's over there in the background being very patient. And we're going to go into the woo, as Ron Moorhood would say, the woo side of Bigfoot. And Lee, you talked about portals. You and Ander had found something. So do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Well, yeah. So right off the bat, this happened last spring, late spring. And we were up out of Skycomish up Foss River Road to a trail, the Necklace Valley Trail. And so this is where I've had the majority of my Bigfoot experiences in the past. I've been hiking, I don't know, since I could drive before then with my parents, but I've always been out in the woods. And I know this trail well. We were way back towards the very end of this trail before it starts heading up the mountainside, about 6 miles in. And all of a sudden, Ander was saying, "Hey, I've got problems with my camera gear. Hold on, wait a minute." And he's messing around with his GoPro and trying to get things working. And he notices there's a time discrepancy between his GoPro and his phone camera, which he's also using. There seems to be about a 19-minute time gap with when he was filming with his GoPro and it shutting off by itself and his phone. So for some reason there was a time issue there, or discrepancy. And then all of a sudden we both felt extremely tired. I've never felt like this on a trail. It was just this really weird, bizarre feeling. We wanted to curl up and lay down on the side of the trail and go to sleep. It was thick. That's all I don't even know how to describe it. It was, yeah. And like Craig and I were discussing this before, he says, it's possible that what you guys were experiencing was infrasound. So my thought, of course, is how is this infrasound affecting the gear, the equipment that we have? I don't understand that. So the only thing that I can think of is that there's a magnetic anomaly or something in the area. Since then, I've been able to pick up some gear that I can use out in the field to test, to find out if there is any magnetic anomalies going on. If this sort of thing starts happening in the future.
Okay, but this is not the first time you've had issues with batteries. So again, your GoPro lost 19 minutes?
Yeah, the GoPro basically lost 19 minutes compared to when he synced it up with his phone.
Okay, and how is that possible? I mean, is that I mean, their clocks don't stop, do they? I mean,
Yeah, well, apparently, on his phone is, between the two, he's lost 19. It was like 19 minutes and a couple of seconds.
mm-hmm.
And we can't figure out why that discrepancy is there.
Yeah. Well, the first time I met you guys were telling me down at ECETI Ranch that you had lost your batteries had been drained. Is battery draining possibly in your GoPro?
Well, sure. I mean, that of course that could be what happened, but his battery, it looked like it drained out. His GoPro stopped, and then all of a sudden the battery life popped back up again. Yeah, right. So
weird.
It is odd. And you have been out with me, and you've seen the weird anomalies we've had. You remember with the cell phone? My cell phone, went into an app. Nobody was touching the darn cell phone, and then something's affecting the phone, making it dial, making it go into. I mean, so things out there, they happen, and we just don't have. We have never been able to record. We've recorded it on video, but we don't know exactly what's going on with the magnetic field in the area at the time. So, that is something.
Refresh my memory, and I also want to point this out to Craig. So when you had that happen, that was up at Lake Takalaka, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so right after that, we saw that UFO over Mount Adams, right? That chandelier kind of thing.
Yes.
Wasn't that about the same time? Yeah. Yeah. So how weird was that?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've never actually seen that footage that you have. So maybe someday I'd like to see it. Anyway. All right. Well, let's move on. So that's your portal incident.
Yeah.
What is the plan? How are you and Craig? Oh, actually, I've got to get this out before I forget. Craig, you're talking about you want to do some research, film, et cetera, et cetera. For years, ever since we started this, I think in 2019, we've been talking about a joint project looking for aliens, Bigfoot, and Dogman. So what you're talking about up in your Sasquatch Valley is really exactly what we've been talking about. We've been talking with Todd Neese. So we're almost out of time. So we've got about 10 minutes. So I'll just tie this off before we do. So we're talking to Todd Neese, and we're talking to Jody Cook of the Dogman Project. And so Craig, you are definitely welcome to join in if we can ever get this off the ground. But right now we're at the process of, we're going to meet together pretty soon. We're looking for an area, and my area has always been ECETI. But if somebody has a better area to do it in, I wouldn't mind it. But just so we're letting Craig in on this, we do have people that want to join together to look for all these different things, because at Encounters USA, that's why we're here. We think they're associated. So that's where we're going with our the rest of this interview. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the Medellin Festival, and we're going to be talking about the future of Lee, and we're going to be talking about Craig's future projects. But right now we're going to take a little break, as we have to break for our 40-minute limit on Zoom, because I'm too cheap to pay for the paid account. So we'll join the podcast in just a minute. Have you ever dreamed of being consumed in a river of lava, or being squashed flat in a scalding pyroclastic flow? The fact is, you probably haven't, but you might when you find out what happens when selling real estate mixes with a secret weapons project called Snowden. Is it fact or is it fiction? The Rainier Paradigm is available at hindsight.com and anywhere fine books are sold. The links are in the description. Now, back to our show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We took a little bit of a break there. I have Craig Yahne, cameraman and documentarian, I guess I'll say videographer extraordinaire and Bigfoot researcher, along with Lee Strauss, of Lee and Ander on the trail, or is it Ander and Lee on the trail?
It's Ander and Lee.
Because it's alphabetical.
Yeah.
And he's probably better looking than you are. So I can see the wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom on that. All right. So when we broke the last time, we were talking about a little bit about the portals that you guys had. You had lost some time.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of trying to pin that down. Craig, in your experiences, have you ever run across anything like that?
Well, yeah, up at Sasquatch Valley, definitely. There's some stuff going on up there. It's kind of like Skinwalker Ranch. It's got some stuff going on. I set up a game cam, and I got orbs, and I got some other interesting beams of light coming out of the sky down into the area. And then there's hundreds of other pictures. That's how game cams work. You just get, endless amounts of photos. They're set off by it's my Bushnell game cam is a IR motion detector type camera. So it has a very low IR capability that if any type of movement is in front of it, it'll set the camera off, and it shoots a consecutive amount of pictures in a certain amount of time frame. And so this camera was set up last October from the first week to probably the third week until the batteries were right. Usually set my game cam up, and I'll let the batteries drain out, and then I go pick them up. So now I got two cameras. I only had one back then when all these weird photos started happening. So I bought another one. I use Bushnell because they're, tested in the field for hunters, and they're really dependable cameras. And so I set these up, and man, it's amazing. I'm telling you, the photos are just bizarre. I got a bunch of regular normal photos, but then I probably got, I would say, about 35 unusual photos. And so to say, I do get unexplained phenomena type shots. That's why the area that I'm in, the North Cascades, is a very, I think, a very active area. Oh, and the other thing, it's close to a native Indian burial ground area, but we're about, I would say, 20 miles away from that area. You pass by it on the road when you're going out there. So it's bizarre. There's a riverbed system. It's down in a valley. There's some high mountains around you. And then there's a bunch of giant ponds and some other ponds around. Looking for some lakes, some high alpine lakes. I'm trying to get up into those areas because I think, in the summer times, the Sasquatch clans go up. And so it's a good area to go explore.
All right. So let me just kind of touch back on something that Lee was talking about with his GoPro missing time episode. Were you in a boulder field when that happened?
No, it wasn't in a boulder field at all. I've heard of that happening, that sort of stuff happening in boulder fields, but I haven't. Where this happened was just like the forest floor, a bunch of moss and near a river. And so, yeah, not in a boulder field.
Okay. And what about your area, Craig? Is that, not trying to get at the location, but are you on a mountainside? Are you in a river valley?
Yeah, we're down
the Sasquatch Valley.
And every time I fly my drone, I get an app on my drone that says we're in an electromagnetic field. So I'm very familiar with ley lines. These crossing ley lines that set up a grid all the way around planet Earth causes electromagnetic field disturbance. And the A-16 planes from McCord Air Force Base and some of the ones up on Whidbey Island, they come down in this area and they fly around. And they travel back and forth between Spokane and the naval base up in Whidbey Island. So they use that area, that corridor, as one would say, and they come in there high speed. They do their plane maneuvers. They usually go all the way out to Eastern Washington, flip around, and come back through the valley again. And every time you're out there, you certainly can hear them coming. But I have been flying my drone out in this area for quite a while now, and I do get electromagnetic disturbance all the time in that area. And it pops up on my app on my phone. So when you're looking at the screen on the phone, there's a little message that pops up and says that you're in electromagnetic disturbance area and please move.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So is there a noticeable boulder fields?
Oh yeah. When Lee comes out there and checks it out, man, the amount of rocks, I've actually found some pretty cool. Let me. I'm just gonna grab a rock and I'll show you real quick.
Okay.
This is just a small one. That's
So this is what you call rock and roll and Bigfoot.
okay, but I don't know if you can see this at all. But this rock right here,
Look at that.
it's got gold in it actually. So, and then here's another one that's got some. That's called calcite.
Yeah.
So that's how you find gold, is you find quartz, and then you find bands of rocks that have the little bit of gold right here. You can see it right there going up that way. But when I was walking around in this one area, they had a huge windstorm in this area about a month ago, and it blew down hundreds and hundreds of trees, and we actually had to clear cut some of the trees. We went up there. I took Dan Canyon and another guy out there, and we went out and we actually got blocks. So there was a guy out there already using his chainsaw cutting trees. So we helped him out. We spent about 2 hours clearing this road, and we only cleared 6 miles in it. It's a 20-mile road. And so everybody got tired. We turned around. But we actually, before we left, we went scouting into a different area. I brought my drone and launched my drone again. We got close to the river and we set it up and I flew it around. But we had a good time. And then people have been working in this area, clearing this road out, and it's finally cleared all the way out to the turnaround area to come back. But it's 20 miles long, and it's got snow out there now. But it's going to be fun. Lee's going to have a good time. I'm going to try and take him all the way to this one campground area where we could get possibly 8 cars in, next to the river. It's right on the river, and the riverbed system out there has tons of rocks. So I'm circling back to your question. The boulder field area in the riverbed system is a bunch of silt from the volcanic eruption a long time ago, and all these trees got pushed down into this river up on the edges of the riverbanks, and then boulders just kept piling up and piling up and piling up. So there's a ginormous boulder field in this one area, from little tiny rocks to ginormous size rocks, and it's a cool area.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Lee?
No. I'm intently listening here.
Yeah, I bet you're excited. You know, I didn't mention this before, Craig, but I do have a 91 Toyota. It is the ultimate 4-wheel drive vehicle. No AC. That's my limitation in the summer. But yeah, so if there was ever an invitation to come my way, I don't know if I would decline it. I blew the head on that thing, though, so I'm probably gonna have to fix it.
Lee's got a 4-wheel drive.
You're gonna have to fix it, Lee. What's that?
A 4-wheel drive Ford, and you got a Toyota, so we should be able to go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I can't be towing any Fords around.
Well, my Ford is gone now. I actually am in a 4Runner now. So.
Oh, there we go. I'll just ride with you then. All right. Well, so we got to kind of get back on a more serious tack here. So, Craig, you are starting to allude, you're going from your primate hypothesis. And do you think that have you seen UFOs up there in your Sasquatch Valley?
Yeah, I've had UFO experiences quite a few times. When I was a kid, when I worked in Alaska, before my dad passed away, he passed away in 91 over in Idaho. We had a UFO wake everybody up in his house in the early morning hours, around 4 or 5 in the morning. This giant light came over, and the beams of light were shooting through the window. It was so bright that the blinds were all closed. So I opened it up, and it was just blinded everybody in the room. Everybody got up. I went over to visit. My mom and dad were divorced, so I went over to visit them, and it woke everybody up, and we looked at it, and it took off in a split second, and that was pretty bizarre. couple times up in Alaska while I was working on the deck. And we saw something we thought was actually like another ship, probably like a quarter mile away, that was on fire. We thought it was on fire. And the first mate got on the radio and called this tug that was closer to it. And they were getting ready to call us to find out if we knew anything, what it was. I got these giant binoculars out and looked through them. They were, the marine style binocular, really long ones. And I started looking at it, and it was a round dish type thing that had multiple lights spinning, and it looked like it was sucking ocean water up out of the ocean, believe it or not. Wow. And the first mate had to make a report on the log, on the ship's log, because he radioed ahead to the tugboat. And so we made a report, and it was bizarre, I'm telling you. And then a couple times out in Sasquatch Valley, leaving just recently, about 3 months ago, I saw some weird lights in the sky, but it was, it's hard to look and drive at the same time. I didn't stop and pull over. I should have stopped and pulled over. I have cameras. I should have grabbed my camera and jumped out and started filming, but I was trying to get out of there and get back. It's a long drive to the area, but in the future, for sure, definitely I'm going to be doing more of that now that I'm with Lee and Anders, because that's the thing to do. You never know. You just gotta stop and do that. It's the same thing as Sasquatch. If you see one, you better be prepared to go. So now what I'm doing is I'm carrying my camera in my car, but I already have it in the standby mode, and I carry 3 extra batteries. So the camera's on, and it's just in standby mode, but I got other batteries I can swap out. So I got my camera ready to go every time I'm going. And plus, I'm going to buy one of those cameras that you put on your rear view mirror, and it points out the front, and it records 24/7. So that's going to be a big factor, help there too, because we're always on the road driving,
Yeah.
Just invested in one of those myself. I got a camera that goes off the front of the vehicle and one out the back, and they record on the same disc.
There you go.
Or same chip. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's a great little, I don't know if they call that a segue. I don't know what the word was, but that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about before I let you guys go. And Craig, you've talked a little bit about the stuff that you're using, but as I've always said, when I talked about the iTeam, these guys are the most sophisticated people I've ever seen in my life as far as their equipment. So, let's start with Craig. We've kind of seen what Lee's setup is. Craig, what are you using out in the field? I mean, we talked about it was a Bushnell, your trail cam. What other things, and what about your drone? I'd like to hear about your drone.
Okay, yeah. So I finally gave in and bought a drone. They're expensive, and I got the DJI professional 4K drone. It's got a lens kit with it. It's called a Fly More combo kit. So I got 3 extra. Well, actually, I had 4 batteries. One of my batteries, I don't know what happened to it, but it's probably, it was either had dead cells in it or something happened to it. Not really sure, but so I'm down to 3 batteries now. I got 3 filters for it, extra batteries, a charger, and stuff like that. So it's the DJI Mavic Air. It's a great drone. It's my first drone. So actually I had a little cheap one before that. It was a $99 one, but there's no comparison to these professional drones. So my future drone is going to be the Mavic Air 2. And then I'm going to get this little gimbal camera. You can interchange the lenses with FLIR. This is a new thing I'm looking at. So that's one of the things I want to get. The drones are really, really, really good for driving, along really fast, quick in and out. If you don't want to scout, let's say you want to go a half a mile down a river and scout the right side and go back up the left side and then do a complete circle up and down and around. You can do that in less than 15 minutes, and it might take you an hour to hike that or more. So the drones come in really handy with that. The cameras I'm using my, I just bought this camera, so that's why I'm looking on my calendar over here. It's a Panasonic HTWXF 991 4K camera. It's a really great camera. It's got a lot of functionalities in it. It's just one of those really good cameras that's in the field, outdoor style, National Geographic type filming camera. So it's one of my it's my baby, I guess you could call it. And then I have another one that's called a Sony HDR. That's a high dynamic range camera that's capable of shooting long distances, and it's got a stabilizer chip in it. But the Panasonic has that stabilizer chip too. But these have these chips in it, so if your camera's bouncing around, it's stabilizing the image. So you're moving, but the actual camera is pretty steady.
Wow, fantastic. I'm going to list all of your things you guys mentioned in the description, just because I want people to have access to the links. And I'm probably going to write a blog about this whole video, this whole interview. So I'll definitely have the links in there and pictures, so you can check out what these guys are using. So these cameras you're using, is this because I haven't seen a picture of it. This is the one you hold it up, and one of these, it's not a shoulder video.
No, mine's not a DSLR. Lee's got those kind of cameras. I'm sure he probably has a regular video camera, but
oh yeah.
So the thing about cameras nowadays is the chips inside of them. Depending on what type of camera, and it's like cars. They're name brands. So cameras that are DSLR, digital single lens reflex cameras, those type of cameras can be used as video cameras now too, because like when I was working for the Seahawks, this guy brought a Sony out, and it's basically one of the DSLR cameras, but you get a full frame camera that has the capability of shooting video. It's the menu settings in the cameras that actually help you get the kind of shots that you're looking for, and the capability of the battery, having an external battery pack and being able to interchange the batteries and go out into the field. And that's the thing about being in the certain types of cameras that you want to get, is you want to be able to change your batteries right away and be able to store memory in your SD card. So the SD card and the batteries are really what set off the camera, and the capability of changing your menu settings on the fly as you're in there, as lighting changes. And Lee knows a lot about that. Lighting changes, then you need to change your camera settings as the lighting changes, so you can get these beautiful pictures and the stunning effects from your camera, because you're pushing your camera to the full extent of using the menu settings in the camera to get the full effect of the actual object that you're taking your video or picture of.
Well, Craig, that really opens up a whole career field I think you should get into, is that, what's the biggest problem with people producing Bigfoot evidence is blurry photos. You could teach people how to take these pictures, So yeah. I think you could make quite a bit of money doing Bigfoot, teaching people how to take Bigfoot photography. So,
well, I think Lee spent way more money on gear than I have. I mean, Lee reminds me of the guy on Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest, the guy with all the technology.
Yep. Was that Race?
I'm more of the Ray Banton kind of guy, but he's definitely the money guy and the technology guy all combined together, because he's got way more gear than I do. Nice. I'm frugal with my gear because I just don't have a lot of money right now. But, hopefully we can all get the money shot. That's my goal, is to get that money shot of my goal. I told Bob Gimlin that. I'm sorry to run off, but we'll go back to what we're talking about. I told Bob Gilliam that I was going to be the guy with a group of guys. When we go out, we're going to get the money shot, and I want to show him the money shot before he passes away. And that's my goal in life right now with the Sasquatch phenomena.
Well, I saw Matt Moneymaker talking about the next guy that gets a Bigfoot shot like Bob and Roger did will be the guy with the drone. And so if I were you, I would be, I'm sure those FLIRs are a lot of money. Yeah. I don't think you can get you don't have a FLIR, do you, Lee?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Of course.
But it's,
can you stick it on Craig's drone?
It's a cheaper one, you talk about spending a lot of money, but I've amassed my gear over 9 years of doing this work. And it is expensive. And, there's still lots of equipment out there I'd love to get, but yeah, money's hard to come by. Money is really hard to come by. So, when those bonuses come for your Christmas bonus and stuff, and, those are the things that I look to use that money for is to get equipment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
that's how I've been amassing my
Give us a
stuff.
rundown on basically, can we start with the latest that you've acquired and kind of go back to your go-to equipment? And again, just so I can list this on for people that are interested in going out and doing what you guys do. So what's the latest thing you acquired?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kind of hard of hearing. What?
Oh, I'm asking Lee.
Oh, Lee.
To yeah. Tell us what's the latest gadget you've got?
Oh, shoot. That's a good question. Holy cow. It's been a while since I really bought any gadgets. I bought a Psionics probably about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Well, basically it's your full color night vision camera. And it it's a great camera. I've got a couple other full color night vision cameras, but I think for the money, the Psionics is the best one you can get right now.
Is there a model number you have for that?
The Psionics Aurora. It's not the Pro version; it's the green one. And it actually, if you do the side by side comparisons, the Pro versus the first model that came out, I believe the first model has a better picture than the newer Pro version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what the review said. I was going to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are because I'll flash a photo of your setup, but all these little screens you have set up, what are those?
Well, those are all monitors for the different cameras. Okay. The problem with sitting behind those screens is you get night blind, right? So you always have to have somebody that's not looking at the screens to be your spotter, so that you can have, if you're looking for UFOs anyway, you want to have somebody that's not looking at the screen spotting for you, so that you can then train your camera setup on whatever it is that they're seeing. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually the guy that's behind the monitors and swinging the gear around and capturing things. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you recommend if I'm just, I want to go out and just start taking pictures? Either of you can answer this. What's a basic camera that's not going to cost me too much, but I'm going to get those high quality pictures?
Craig, you want to go with that?
Well, yeah, I guess I could do that for sure. Yeah. What kind of budget are we talking about?
$1,000. Let's say $500.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you could definitely go with a Sony, Panasonic, and Canon. All three models are any one of the newer 2020 and up are really on sale right now. They're pushing those cameras out because the newer models have bigger sensors and they're going to be able to do more. So it just depends on really how well you are adapted to using the menu functions. Some are a little bit more complicated than others, and some are a little bit easier. If you're just setting the camera up in auto mode and just going with the flow and taking photos and letting the camera do all the work, a lot of people do that. Even the professionals do that because it's just so much easier. There's just endless tutorials on how to go out and on YouTube or even other channels that you can watch and set your camera up to go out and shoot. But if you're going out like for UFO, let's say for nighttime shooting, you definitely need to get a little bit of better model that shoots better in low light versus daylight. But you want to try to get the medium blend because you're going to be taking daytime photos and nighttime photos. You know what I mean? So you want to get something kind of right down the middle there. And I would say, you can't go wrong with Sony, Canon, or Panasonic for sure. Any one of those models.
Okay. And yeah, that seems to be the biggest problem with Bigfoot photography is that you have 1 second. You have 1 second to take the shot. So, and then as the things get more complicated, the chance of you being able to take that shot and have it be something that would be considered evidence is less likely. I don't want to do any plugs for Apple, but The new iPhone, I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and that camera on it is just unbelievable, unbelievable. So is that, I mean, not trying to plug this thing, but
No,
you
you're
think that's
fine.
adequate?
Yeah, here, let me grab this tool real quick. So this is a gimbal stabilizer right here in my hand. I'm going to pull it out, show it to you. This will plug into your phone. And what you're going to do, I won't name the name brand, but you might recognize it. So you see that? It folds out. So what you do is you let me undo this here. Pull that button there. And you unfold it. And this is a gimbal stabilizer phone. The phone goes right up here in this area right here. You push this button, and this, you can hold this and the camera will stabilize as you're holding. So if the object is moving, the camera is stabilizing the photo or the video. Yeah. And this is a cool little gadget tool to have. It's got a little setting down here for, you can set it down and turn it on. You can tilt it all different directions, and it's not on right now, but it would stabilize for you. As I spun it around, they would hold this area stable right here. And it's a really cool tool to have. So,
okay. And what is, I know what the brand, what is that? I can't think of the brand. I have the microphone. Sure.
This is the Mini S. And it's, that's the brand name, is the Mini S. What's it called? I forgot the name too, okay. But it's not here on the actual stick. It's just called the Mini S, but there's a name right down here in the bottom that's really super small font. Trying to see it here.
But you can just take that and hold it out in front of you while you're out looking for Bigfoot, and I see it's got a little clicker on it, right?
Yeah, so these buttons right here that you're looking at, actually the gimbal on, and it'll stabilize, and then you can tilt this any way you want, and it keeps the camera perfectly straight.
Wow, that is awesome.
So I could do 3 turns with it, and it would hold it straight. It's a new tool that I have not played with, but I saw it down on the Seahawk field. One of the other cameramans who was traveling with the TV production crew had it, and he's like, Craig, you should get one of these and just practice with it, you know? And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So they were on sale. I got it. I haven't actually used it in the field yet because I'm using my drone a lot. My drone has a gimbal stabilizer on it too. So I'm going to start doing this when I do interviews. I'm taking this out when I'm going to do my interviews now, because like you were saying, your phone camera, I have the Note 9. I am an Android guy. But the Note 9 has so many menu function features on the camera that you could put this on here and videotape and record interviews. I also have a wireless lav mic that I can bring, and it'll plug in, and I can use that as well. But so I'll have this, my camera, and a tripod, and I'll be good to go. I can do interviews with Lee, Anders, and you, and we'll be set, you know, so we can make these movies and make these documentaries and get that money shot, you know. That's the whole idea, is to be able to use the technology that we got to the best advantage as we can for any given moment, for a UFO, for Sasquatch, you know, for whatever it takes these days. I think I'm done buying gear for a while, though. That's for sure.
Well, we'll see. I bet with what they have coming out now, as far as the electronics, I mean, the stabilization on this iPhone is just incredible. But I think anyway, we'll see. But all right. So I just have a question, and I think I'm gonna let you guys go.
Okay.
Is there a don't be so happy? Is there a way? Yeah, we got about 10 minutes. Is there a way to get a FLIR on one of Craig's drones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but the good one. And how much does that FLIR cost?
Well, depending on the model you get.
But we want a good one. We want that money shot.
$3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That is okay.
I already contacted them. Yeah. For a good one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I really don't think, because they're the same color as their surroundings. They know how to hide. I really don't think you're going to find them without that. So anyway, I think that would be the next step for everybody, is to go into drones and FLIR. So,
well, I think in the next 5 years, things are going to be different. We're getting closer and closer. Something's going to happen. I have that feeling. My intuition is that something's going to happen, and it's going to be in the Pacific Northwest. Some opportunities over in Kentucky and some other areas. I've met some people recently, and I've been talking to some people. Just today, before I got on this meeting with you, I was watching this video. I'm going to go back to it and watch it again. Somebody's got footage of some Sasquatch up close. I don't know if it's fake or if it's real. I haven't looked at it yet, but I got a little bit of look at it. But I'm going to go back and look at it again. But I think, Washington State is a prime area. Every year at Squatch Fest, if you haven't been to it, you need to come down this year and check it out. Come to my Friday show. It's a 2-day event. It's going to be Friday, Saturday. And we're having a meeting called Squatch Talking, and that's where the group of the community gets to come out and tell their stories. I'm hosting that and moderating that, so you can come up and talk for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll move to another person, and then we'll have a little bit of a meeting afterwards, and then come back and check out all the other guest speakers who will be there. But some interesting stuff going on.
Okay. So Craig, when is this? It's Squatch Fest?
I can't tell you the date right now.
Oh, okay.
We're working on that. It's going to either be July or August, one of those 2 months. But it's not locked in yet.
Okay, but it is Squatch Fest. All right, I think we're kind of breaking up here. I'm getting a delay, so I just want to thank both of you guys for being on the podcast. Lee Strauss, thanks for being here. Craig Yahne, thanks for your presence and all of your input. And Craig, you want to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you, Michael, for having me on board. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome. And let's stay in touch. I will keep Craig's, like I said, I'll post the equipment he's using, whatever, on the links to this video. As well, I'll do a blog on my website, Encounters USA. And let's keep an eye on this joint project. I will post Craig's progress on my website, Encounters USA. Anything he wants to add, we'll just go ahead and post as far as his research goes. And the same goes for Andrew and Lee on the trail. So you guys, Lee, any parting comments?
No, I'm good. The thing I guess that I would add is, when we're doing this research, we always come away, every time that we come away from a trip out there or whatever, we always come back with an idea of how to do things different. And the more we do this sort of thing, the more inspiration we get, the more ideas we come up with. Sooner or later, we're going to have it. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys, thanks a lot for being on the podcast. Until the next time, I guess we're going to tell everybody out there, go ahead and look at Craig Yahne on Facebook, and look at Andrew and Lee on the trail on Facebook. And any other way to get a hold of you guys or to plug your businesses?
Oh, I don't have a business to plug.
Okay, Craig, anything?
Yeah, just like, share, support on my YouTube channel, Craig Yahne, and then head over to the Facebook page, Pacific Northwest Sasquatch Research Group. I'm always in there following up on comments, and same thing on YouTube. But the big thing is that we're just trying to go out there and get that footage for Bob Gimlin to see, and we want to get the best video footage available, and it's going to take a team of guys. So please help support me, Lee, and Anders, and Michael. I mean, not Michael, Matthew, right?
It doesn't matter. Even my mom gets it mixed up. So my brother's name is Mike, so I get it.
Sorry. But yeah, give us all some love and support and hit that like and share and subscribe button to everybody. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks, you guys. And for Encounters USA, if you're out with Lee Strauss or Craig Yahne, remember what we always say, always watch your back. Matthew Hines here. Just want to remind you, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to this channel, whether you're listening on podcast or watching on YouTube. Also, go to encountersusa.com for more videos and podcasts, all archived for your convenience. Also, we have a wonderful Encounters USA blog, as well as an Encounters USA paranormal shop for all of your paranormal apparel. So, not only can you watch your back, you can put some of our designs on yours as well. So we'll see you on down the road on Encounters USA.